Moving on, our friend Cheryl Twomey says, it seems like there's no hope anymore. Well, hang in there, Cheryl. There was always hope. Leftists have the culture, they have education in a death-like vice grip, and they have the government, the Boehner cluster fluff, for example. Thank you. I'm beginning to think it's just easier to rejoin the fold and become with Landru again. I'd keep my friends at least. Is the fight worth it? Really? Of course the fight's worth it, Cheryl. The one thing that you got to keep coming back to is, yes, they have the media. Yes, they have the government. Yes, they have movies. Yes, they have TV. Yes, they have comedy. Yes, they have academia. Yes, they have everything. They have all these things and they're failing. They have all these things and it's a 50-50 country. They've got all of this stuff, and we're not only still in the fight, we just had a tremendous upset, and the American people have had enough of them. We don't have to throw the ball. We don't have to throw a 97-yard touchdown with 4 seconds left on the clock. We have to move the ball 3 yards, and they never win again. I know I keep saying it, but it has to be said. When we get right down to it, Cheryl, the fact of it is that you are absolutely right that they have such incredible power at their fingertips. But the thing that should be so encouraging to you is that they have this kind of power at their fingertips, and we just cleaned their clock. And we cleaned their clock in 2010 when we made it about their policies, and we lost in 08 and 12 when we stopped making it about their policies because we're so afraid to attack Barack Obama because he's black. It's really just that simple. So, no, you shouldn't feel despair. And despair is what they want. I know that charge is leveled at both sides, and I know the charge of stupidity is leveled at both sides. I know the charge of, you've got the low information voters. No, you've got the low, blah, 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 blah. No, we believe people should be free to make their own decisions. They believe that elitists in government should make the decisions for you. And if you call them out on that, then they're trapped. If you say to them, we believe the American people know how to spend money better than the federal government does for their own lives, make them come out and say, no, they don't. We believe the American people should be able to decide what they want to do with themselves, and Washington should be in no position to tell them anything about that. Make them come out and say why I'm wrong. Make them come out and say, no, Washington knows better than you do. You really have to look at it in that respect. I understand the despair. I certainly do. I understand the despair. I understand the depression and just the weariness of fighting these people. But when you get right down to it, think about it. I mean, they've had all of it. They got their Messiah. They got the unicorn. They got everything they wanted. And, and Champ dropped the ball. He just dropped the ball and continues to drop the ball. And people had enough of it. So, no, what we need now is not just they're failing on their own. They would have failed a lot earlier if we hadn't been so good at helping them succeed because we don't know what we're doing. But nevertheless, they dropped the ball, and now we need somebody on our team to pick up the ball. And the problem with our team is we don't understand how simple our message is. We have so little rhetorical intelligence that we don't know how to make this argument. And I make it every day. It's so simple to make. So who knows? Maybe the answer really is, in fact, about getting people from the pop culture. People have said to me, would you run for a president? It's like, I'm unelectable, number one. Number two, I don't actually really want the job. Number three, that's not where the fight is. The fight is in the culture. The fight's in the culture. The culture is what everything swims in. So I don't want to go over ground that we go over all the time. But seriously, honestly, Cheryl, you keep your chin up, kid, because what they are counting on is that we give up fighting. And the thing I will say about this, and I've said before too, is this is going to sound depressing, but it's really depressing. Because it is depressing. It's also true. They can beat us, but we can never beat them. You really have to understand that. You really have to go into this fight understanding that they can win and we never can. And what does that mean? Well, they have entropy on their side, frankly. It's just that simple. It's easier for people to get things for free than it is to convince people to work for things. Easier to give out free candy than it is to sell vegetables. And the bottom line of it is that the future that we want is a future of manicured yards. We want a future of people working hard for themselves and for their own benefit, and we want a world of manicured yards and rose bushes. And if you want a world of civilization and manicured yards and rose bushes and shiny metal, then you have to understand that in order to get those things, you have to get up and you have to mow the lawn, and you have to weed the garden, and you have to paint the metal, and you have to scrape away the rust, because rust never sleeps, and neither does socialism. It's easy. It's easy. It is a state of lower energy differential. It's downhill. Going downhill is easier than going uphill. We have to understand that the nature of the way the cards are dealt means that every single day, people like me and people like you have to get up and roll that rock up the hill. And it's exhausting, backbreaking work. It's not something you say trivially. You have to roll a giant boulder up the hill. You sweat and strain and pull your muscles every day. You get it to the top of the hill, and you think, thank God, I've succeeded. I've finally done it. We've won. We won an election. Ronald Reagan is president. Our work is over. No. The next morning when you wake up, the rock's at the bottom of the hill, and you have to roll it up the hill again. And they can let gravity work for them, because gravity, like everything else, is about running downhill. If we truly, genuinely want the world that we want, it's a world that has to be worked on. And this country used to be not afraid to do the hard work. This country was a country that was never afraid to do the hard work. We were never afraid to go out and mow the grass, or at least we had the strength to do it. We had the strength to keep painting. You know, why are sailors always painting battleships? Why are they always painting ships? Because paint keeps rust away. It takes a lot of work, and a lot of paint. But that's what you do. So, Cheryl, there comes a point, and believe me, I know where you're coming from on this, but I would just, for the sake of the question, just advise you as a friend to try considering it the other way. And rather than looking for where's the happiness in our conservative position, just accept it. I have. Just accept it, and then you get the pride and the clarity of accepting it. And you don't have to be disappointed every day, because you understand that because you understand that it's in the nature of the cards to be disappointed every day. That's the hand, kid. And you may not like it, and I don't like it, and it'd be nice if it weren't true, but it is. They can win. If we give up, they win. If they give up, we still have to fight every day, and they're never going to give up. Rust never sleeps, and neither does the desire to control other people. They're at work 24 hours a day. Those progressives are always planning something. They've always got a protest organized. They've always got some organization working. That's what they do. It's their religion. It's their lives. They don't have families the way we understand it. They don't have religion. They don't have hobbies. They don't have jobs. I'm talking about the political loony, the real hardcore political junkies on the left. This is their religion and their hobby and their romance and everything rolled into one. They work all the time so that they can control people. And people like us have to decide whether or not we want to fight them. And if the answer is yes, then we have to fight them every day. And yeah, sorry to break the news to you, but I'll tell you something else, Cheryl. You don't sound like a quitter to me, and I know you're not. And this is why we do the show, right? That's why we do the Stratosphere Lounge show, is so that we understand that there are days when it's just hopeless. It just seems hopeless. And confidence and courage and all those other things are choices. They're decisions. They're decisions that people like Winston Churchill made every day. We're completely outnumbered. We're completely overwhelmed. We're utterly outgunned. The Germans are not 250 miles away at the border of Belgium. The Germans are across the English Channel. They're 20 miles away. German air power, the Luftwaffe, is 4 minutes away from our shores. 10 maybe tops. 10 minutes away for the Germans to cross the Channel and be over Britain. They're 10 minutes away. And all of our tanks and all of our rifles are on the beach in Dunkirk, rusting away, being collected by the Nazis. So we're going to give up, or are we going to fight them? And we make a decision to fight them. And that's just that simple. Make a decision. And I make a decision. And as a Laughing Hyena points out there in the comments section, this was one of the many things. I don't know if he submitted it or whether somebody else did, but this should be because we're going to be talking about big bad a lot this year, big bad problems. Next year will be the year of the common sense resistance. But somebody submitted to me one of the themes of the common sense resistance, which is tyranny never sleeps and neither do we. So you can look at it that way, right? Tyranny never sleeps, Russ never sleeps, and neither do we. So look on the bright side, kid. We've got to face this depressing, god-awful choice every single day, and that's the good news.